All right. Hey, everybody. We back again.
We're back.
All right. I'm Spencer. And of course, we have our licensed clinical therapist, Naz.
Dr. Nas. Dr. DOC, DR, all the above. Dr. Nas.
DOCDR.
No, I put DR. Doc, Doctor, I don't know, whatever.
Sure. No one knows what you're saying. All right. Moving on. And this is the Different Spectrums podcast, where we talk about movies, shows, and all the mental health aspects that surround them. We also like to have some laughs, so don't take us too seriously.
Or do. It's up to you.
There you go. Also, don't forget to run up those likes for us. We'd really appreciate it. Now, before we get to our guest, we have Bub's Naturals and Cure Hydration, both sponsors of the show. Bub's Naturals is a health and wellness business.
I would say company,
program.
nutrition, supplement company. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And they have all different types of nutrition-esque products, such as I take their apple cider vinegar gummies, which are delicious.
Yep.
Which are great. And then we have Cure Hydration, which is a hydrating pack company. They have other things, but they have some really good hydration packs, which are very good. You just put them in your water and shake them up. That's
good
it.
To go.
And you have delicious hydrating water.
Yeah.
That's right. Yes. You can go to both of these sites, which are in our link tree, and all you have to do is put in DSP20 to get 20% off your entire order. So 20% off your entire order sounds pretty good to me.
There you go.
So with that out of the way, we'd like to welcome our guest for today. She is a licensed clinical social worker and has her own private practice in Georgia. We are welcoming Dr. Letha to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a joy to be here.
Awesome. Love
Doctor.
it. Love it.
Well, doctors in there. Doctor.
Well, thanks a lot for leaving me out. Appreciate that. I'm a doctor in spirit.
You need a doctor.
Moving on. So for today, we are taking a look at the movie Soul from Disney. Has Jamie Foxx. Go to Jamie Foxx, one and only. Some topics that we're going to be covering for today are overstimulation, the relationship between clients and therapists, as well as we're going to be talking about the spark. Yeah, whatever that was. We're going to be taking a look at a few scenes. The first one's going to be mainly talking about that overstimulation that we're talking about. The second scene has more to do with Joe Gardner, who's played by Jamie Foxx, and kind of how he was looking back on his life and kind of being able to enjoy the little things, right? And then the third scene, we're mainly going to be talking about that client-therapist relationship and about how Joe gets 22 out of a depressive state. So,
yep.
Nice. Anything before we get into the clips?
Super excited to talk about this, yes. Right? As me and Doc were talking about, it's just a really good show, just in general. A lot of emotions, a lot of good therapy stuff, a lot of good motivational stuff, gratitude, a lot of different things to think about. I think a lot of us, maybe not, go into that zone in this movie, that zone, I forgot what it's called, but it's just the zone. And I think that's really wonderful for a lot of us neurodivergent folks to just go there. What'd you say, the active zone?
Phantom zone.
Phantom zone?
Superman.
Oh, there you go.
Moving on.
The Twilight Zone. So, folks, go check out the link tree. Like Spence said, the DSP20 in there, but also the screenings, self-assessments, everything's free in there. Go ahead and check it out. The apps, there's tons of goodies in there. And if you're a therapist, check it out as well. As you see, we've got new merch, so please check that out as well. The Wavy Neurodivergent, those are starting to sell pretty well. So check them out, folks. Those are your therapists. We got therapist t-shirts now. So people know.
Yep. Yep, they are athletic shirts, and they just say therapist on the back
That's
with our
it.
logo on
Just
the
like
front.
security. Yep.
That's it.
I'm gonna wear it to
You
the
are
pub.
different spectrum security.
Yeah. Yep. So let's get into it. Real quick before we do that. Some of the folks that grew up with Jamie Foxx, right, obviously know he's going through some severe health issues right now. I want folks to like just take a quick second to send some good vibes to him and his family, because right, he looks like he might have had a stroke. So it's really sad to know that I grew up with him my entire life, acting, music, all of it. Just take a second to just send out some good vibes to him. And let's go ahead and start the show. Whoop whoop.
Woo woo.
Get a little whoop, Carlita. There it is.
Hey everyone, before we get into the show, please check out our collaborator, Bubs Naturals. They sell a variety of health and wellness products, including collagen peptides, MCT oil powder, coffee, apple cider vinegar gummies, and other amazing products. Go to bubsnaturals.com and use our code DSP20 to get 20% off your entire order. I just ordered their apple cider and vinegar gummies, and I'm excited to try them. If you are looking for a high-quality, all-natural health and wellness product, Bubs Naturals is a great option. The company offers a wide variety of items that are designed to improve overall health and well-being. So go check them out, and remember to use our code DSP20 when you check out. And with that, let's get into the show.
It's all happening too fast. Let's just take a minute and,
Come on, let's go. They could be here any second. Don't worry, it's okay. Just keep walking. No, don't stop. What are you doing? This is New York City. You don't stop in the middle of the street. Go, go, go. I didn't know I had claws, okay? Look, I'm sorry, but come on, let's go.
no way. I am staying right here until your stupid body dies. Which will happen any minute now because your stomach is earthquaking. Maybe skywatching can be my spark. Or walking. I'm really good at walking.
Those really aren't purposes, 22. That's just regular old living. Joe? 22, stop. I have something to tell you. Stop. No. 22!
Whoa, watch out. Take it easy. There.
Don't be afraid.
Don't worry. Calm down.
You have to stop running.
Please.
22, stop. 22, I was wrong. Please, will you listen? You are ready to live, 22.
Not good enough. Nope. Nothing. I just need to fill out that
22.
last box.
You're dishonest. All you make are bad decisions. You are unwise and you won't make it in the world.
Selfish. No one would ever want to be around you. All you make
world
are
needs
bad
remarkable
decisions.
people, and you are the least remarkable soul I've ever met.
You'll never find your spark.
Imbecile! I cannot help you.
22!
Just fill out that last box. I'm not getting up. You will never find your spark. There's no point.
Those aren't purposes, you idiot. That's just regular old living. This is a waste of time. You only got that badge because you were in my body. That's why you ruin everything. Because you have no purpose.
No.
There's no point. You'll never find your spark. Because you have no purpose.
Nothing. I just need to fill out that last box. I give up.
You ready?
Huh?
To come live.
I'm scared, Joe. I'm not good enough. Anyway, I never got my spark.
Yes, you did. Your spark isn't your purpose. That last box fills in when you're ready to come live. And the thing is, you're pretty great at jazzing.
Joe, this means you won't get to...
It's okay. I already did. Now it's your turn. I'll go with you.
You know you can't do that.
I know, but I'll go as far as I can. Hey, take a look.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes?
Do you have a moment? I think I'm speaking for all the Jerrys when I say thank you.
For what?
We're in the business of inspiration, Joe, but it's not often we find ourselves inspired.
Huh, really?
So we all decided to give you another chance. Hopefully, you will watch where you walk from now on.
But what about Terry?
We worked it out with Terry.
That's weird.
Hey, Terry, what's that over there? Look, immediately.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. You were saying? Were you even talking? I can't remember.
Never mind.
Well?
Thanks.
So, what do you think you'll do? How are you going to spend your life?
I'm not sure. But I do know. I'm gonna live every minute of it.
And we are back again.
And we're live. As live as the fireworks is going to be pissing you off for the next 3 days. Sons of bitches.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Can't even deny that one.
No, yeah, it's going to be terrible.
Yeah. All right. So before we get into the clips, like we said, we have a guest today. So, Dr. Letha, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am Dr. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, licensed in Georgia, Kentucky, and Virginia. I own and operate a private practice in Conyers, Georgia, by the name of Bonamy LLC, ONHOMIE LLC. You can find me on social media platforms. My pages are a little dead right now because I had some other focuses, but maybe we'll, liven it back up eventually. But yeah, so in private practice, I more than anything else focus on trauma recovery. You name it, with PTSD, trauma, I've probably done it, as well as like your depression, anxiety, life transitions. I have a lot of college students, things of that nature. I have been licensed since 2011, practicing in my private practice since 2016. So quite a few things throughout this career.
Very nice.
Yeah, long career.
Gonna get straight to it. How'd you meet this guy over here, who with the big head? There it is.
So as it definitely says on both ends. We went through our doctorate programs together, and he literally saved my life. Literally saved my life.
First time for everything.
Yeah.
You now are indebted to me. Yeah, you are indebted to me. Yeah, this is like, yeah.
This is pretty much a prison sentence. This is like you're just buying out your time at this point. Yeah.
Oh, man.
How many more shows do I have to do?
My precious.
Yeah, no, he was very, very, very supportive and helpful throughout the program. There were actually a group of 3 of us that we would study together, and kind of just help each other push through a lot of our different classes. Even after we separated into our different concentrations, we just maintained contact every once in a while. Hey, how you doing? How's things going? If things were tough and we needed to vent about things or whatever, yeah, we just had that space to do that. I really, 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 really appreciated that.
Yeah, that first year was like hellacious. I feel like the last year was not that bad for me. That first year was like, statistics, like all these massive papers. They didn't explain shit. I'm like, how are you not going to explain what you want us to write about?
You're trying to be a doctor. You got to figure it out. All right.
Yeah. And then they get mad at you and like yell at you for not figuring it out. I'm like, well, you didn't tell me shit. Yeah. Grateful. Grateful. All right.
Anyways, thank you for being on. We really appreciate it. And I think we're going to have a fun show today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, getting into a little bit of an overview of Soul. It's about Joe Gardner, who's a music teacher, who suddenly dies, falling into a sewer grate or a construction zone or whatever.
It happens, people. It happens.
Yeah. And then he finds himself as a soul, right? In like the afterlife. Or like, I guess he's like in that in between, right? He's in that in between. And so then he finds 22, who has been a soul for like long time.
Since it began. She's like 22 out of something billion.
Yeah. So and so they kind of form like a partnership at first, and that's where we kind of meet for this first scene where they somehow get back down to earth, but 22 is actually in Joe's body while Joe is inside of a cat. So
happens more often than you know.
Happens all the time. The time. Yeah. So kind of going through the scene, it's mainly about 22's first time down on Earth and how she feels very overwhelmed and overstimulated, right? Tons of people, jackhammers. I think they're in like New York, so it's like perfect place to really bring somebody. It couldn't be like Idaho or something, where it's just like cornfields and grass.
I don't know how many black people in Idaho though, so
well,
or jazz musicians.
Not many.
Yeah.
Not many.
Oh, you know Bobby, huh? Oh, he played jazz down the street. Yep.
Yep. You have to go like 3 states down just to even talk about jazz. So we get to the scene. Like I said, overstimulated, and she just doesn't know what to do. While Joe is kind of trying to guide her through everything and talk to her while she's being that overstimulated, but it's kind of hard to hear everything once, so many things are going on. So, what about this movie made you want to do these scenes? Either one of you.
So I'll take the first bait just for this scene. It was recommended by a client that I had. They said, it's going to the store because I'm trying to systematically break down like what's giving my clients this social anxiety and this fear. And they say, it's like that scene from Soul. I'm like, what scene from Soul? So I went back and looked it up and I'm like, yes, that feels like a thing. Wild story. I'm not going to get into the details, but Spencer and I were out and about at a festival once, and I was supposed to go into a pub. And I decided not to go into that pub because it was too loud and there's too many people, and I just turned around and left the other people that were in there waiting for me and Spencer, specifically me. I made a business decision. Specifically me. I might have been on a date.
I might have been the third wheel. Somehow didn't know I was going to be a third wheel. Just saying.
Things happen. I don't know. I've been so overstimulated by some things. Recently, everyone, co-workers wanted to go to this hangout and get some drinks to celebrate a happy birthday. I Googled the place. I'm like, oh, hell no. So I got to take my dad to the doctor. It's 9 p.m. at night.
Doctor's still open on a Friday.
They're still open. He need a shot in the cortisone is somewhere in his tush. He got the tush cortisone shot. Wait, where'd you get it from? The back alley behind Arby's. So I relate to the scene a lot. I have clients that relate to it much more though, because of the sensitivities. Folks that are ADHD will probably relate to it as well. It's hard to like zone in and pay attention to things when you got all this sensory stuff going around and freaking you out. And I let the scene play a little bit. Because then you see Joe, which is technically 22, freaking out in a ball, just like, right, just kind of sitting there rocking, doesn't want to go in there, just like, hope I die. I mean, I'm working with a ton of clients right now where their parents are like yelling at them, why can't you just do better? Why can't you be normal? Why are you freaking out? I'm like, girl, why'd you even ask your dad this shit? Like, he doesn't get it. Do the coping skills, regulate, come to them with a strategy before you even talk to them, because they're just going to deregulate you more. And me and you will figure it out. Leave it to me and you. Go to the supports that help you, not to this person that doesn't understand on how your brain works. I feel like most therapists, if they were to talk to a client, they'd be like, oh, no, you've got social anxiety. This is not social anxiety. This is, it is anxiety going out there, but it's not about feeling judged by other people that you have social anxiety. This is about being overstimulated and how do you cope. And so that's when we start bringing out the earbuds that allows lower decibels in. I've been trying to get a lot of clients to get better, like headphones that have the ambient noise block off, or the one that allows their music to play so they can be soothed while they can hear everything outside. We try to find ways to make sure the stimulation is less, or they can increase the stuff that makes them feel better.
Right.
And this seems a perfect example of how terrifying it could be to walk into a store, outside of a store, into a classroom. Literally anywhere that's outside of your comfort zone of probably your house. And I can go into more detail later. But that's why I wanted to do that scene specifically. Then the rest I just watched. And I'm like, oh, this is some good shit.
Right.
What about you, boss lady? Any specific scenes that, it doesn't have to be what we did, but any specific scenes that you're like, we need to talk about this?
Definitely, I would say the scene where it's not Joe, it's Joe's body, but it's 22. And Joe's mom are in the room. Joe's on his way to go and have him and 22 switched, but he bends over, busts his pants, and Joe, in the form of the cat, is like, oh man, now we got to go see my mom. She's the only person that'll be able to fix my pants. But my mom doesn't know that I have this gig that I'm supposed to go to, and I don't want her to know because I don't want her to, like, you know, rain on my parade or be my fun sponge, because I'm really excited about this thing. This is like, really, you know, this is what I've been waiting for all of my life. And I know that she's not going to be supportive of it. So when he finally gets there and the other ladies in the shop, they're all like, oh, we heard the good news. And his mom
kisses
is like,
the one on the lips. Sorry to cut you. He kissed the one on the lips, which she's like, damn, how you doing?
Yeah. But yeah, just within that particular scene, like how, for example, the love and the excitement and everything that he got from the other two ladies in the shop, how some children, for example, could be like just yearning for that exact expression, but from the mother instead of from outsiders. And then how sometimes with parents, it's like they'll kind of like lead a child away from their dreams or away from their purpose, away from their destiny based on projection of their own fears. Because for mom, she's like, well, your dad and I, we struggled and this, that, and the other, and I don't want you to experience the same thing. And who's to say that Joe would ever experience the same thing? So just kind of what that looks like for a lot of the teen clients that I tend to work with over the years.
I thought the most powerful part right there was when he, how are you going to make money? This don't pay the bills, kid. And he said, I don't care about no bills. I'll be broke.
Right.
And so us as humans have to think about, you know, the golden handcuffs. What allows us to make money or what allows us to be happy, and do those converge? Most of the times those don't. Money, sometimes you're just making money so we can do the fun stuff we want to do, to buy the cool shit we want to buy. And sometimes we're lucky enough to where they converge. And, you know, what is it stupid saying? If you like your job, you never work a day in your life, or something like that, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's like no one. That's not a real thing. Everyone hates their job. I ain't gonna lie. When I see my first client at 9 a.m., I hate you. I let them know that right up front. Hello, I hate you.
Why are you in here right now? It's too early. I don't even want to talk. What are you doing?
Yeah. I can't help you. You're damaged. I'm joking. This is all jokes. Colita, do not laugh.
All jokes, folks. We do not condone.
we do not hate our clients. I'm going to clap back at you. I'm joking. In all seriousness, I actually do hate waking up in the morning because then you got to work and get up and like your body's all freaking out and you're hungry and then you got it's a thing. As soon as I sit down and see that client, I'm like in this whole new zone and I'm off and doing my thing and we're just having conversations and I get paid for this shit. The other day I told a client, I said, girl, you know what you need? She said, what? I said, I need you to make yourself into a s'more. She goes, what in the hell does that mean? I said, blanket, backpack with a bunch of books on it, floor. S'more. Because she needed a heavy weighted blanket. She doesn't have the money to buy it. I said, put some books in the backpack. That'll suffice. She said, I could use my dog. I said, you should have told me that before I went to this whole fucking backpack thing. And we're just cracking up and having a blast. And I said, I can't believe I get paid for this. And she said, I'm happy that you get paid for this. I was like, oh, you're so sweet. Great scene that you mentioned. Sometimes parents can shit on your things, especially if they're neurodivergent clients, because they might like different things that might not be socially acceptable. Could be art, could be music, it could be reading and maybe writing literature, but how are you going to make any money? Hell, we got, as me and Spence been talking about, they got all these actors that are on strike because they're not even getting paid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so the parents could shit on it. You need to be a doctor or a lawyer, an engineer. But not everyone is cut out to be those. And not everyone can make it through this really hard, ableistic, like, education system that we have. So, good scene. I'm glad mom comes around. I'm glad that Joe in the cat, he's like, what the hell? Don't say that to mom. Mom about to freak out. Because if that's my mom, I'm not going to lie. Stab.
And once again, trauma.
Trauma score Nas 10. Good scene.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question real quick.
Go for it.
What'd you think about the ending scene? And just what were the emotions that get about for you as a therapist when he's like holding her hand? I don't know what gender she is, but they're holding their hand and they're going off to Earth. Any emotions that get brought up in you, or any like nostalgia about you and clients, anything like that? Anything that? Because I can see myself as the little kid, I can see myself as the therapist. So to me, it's like, don't leave me.
Yes. So just over the years, I've had clients try to follow me from one place to another. And I'm like, well, this time you're not going to be able to do that because I'm going to a completely different state. Like, it's not going to work that way this time. And then just just can we fix one more thing? Do we have to stop like now? Just what? And they just sometimes have a hard time letting go, because it's like you become almost like a security blanket or for some people. The only area that I can say that I tend to, do some double checks is like, security blanket, okay, but codependence. Let's make sure that we're not falling into that space. But yeah, there are countless people that I can think of that I've served over the years that it was just definitely one of those, like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna miss you as a therapist, sort of situations. And I still, every once in a while, I'll get a text message of, hey, I'm engaged. Hey, I just had a baby. Hey, these particular like milestones that they're reaching in their lives. So that's great and very heartwarming that people will, still maintain contact with, let you know how they're doing after discharge. But yeah, that scene is exactly what it's like. The client is kind of afraid, but at the same time, you eventually see that she's like, she has this smile and she's like, I can do this. And yeah, you can. We've been working on it for years. or months or weeks or however long to reinforce you and prepare you and give you all the tools and everything that you need so that, yeah, you can do it on your own. And one of the things that I've had some clients tell me that have been very helpful. As therapists, a lot of times therapists, they have a hard time with being okay with going on vacation. There's always this like, oh my God, are they going to be okay without me? Am I going to come back and their whole life is just like blown up? But when you come back, they've had a break away from therapy to actually put the skills into practice. So there's been more often than not, I'll come back and they're like, you know what?
I'm good.
I actually see that I'm actually able to do this. Whereas before I didn't think that I could, but just having to break away from you for like 2 weeks or whatever. I tried this and I tried that and this happened and that happened. So yeah. And I think that it was kind of eye-opening for me the first time that happened, because we don't have to, be there all the time, because we're not going to be there all the time. The goal is to have them come in, get this work, and get going. I say that to clients a lot. Come in, get this work, get going. Because the ultimate goal is for them to go out and live their best lives.
Yep. I always got to remember they lived before you, they'll live without you.
Exactly.
And I always tell them that when they look at me with those the same eyes, Spence, like what Puss in Boots does, those cat eyes, and they get real big and all that. That's how they look at you, kid. And they're just crying. What am I gonna do without you? And I'm like, stop. If I'm a good therapist, which you said I was, you got this. This the easy shit now. We done been through all the hard shit.
Right.
And they'll just sit there. And sometimes I hold up the next client and I just let them sit there, because I'm not going to kick you out when you're in the middle of grief of discontinuing with me. I'm gonna lie, some of them I actually hate discontinuing with because I just enjoy their souls.
Yeah, I agree.
There's just some people that, as me and Spence talk about a lot in the pods, that are neurodivergent, and we're saying funny stuff and we're vibing back and forth and they're giving me stories, and I'm just like, this is awesome. This is someone that I'm helping almost every single time. And there's always something to bring to the table that they bring. But, they graduate. I move on to different facilities, and so we have to cut it loose. But sometimes it is just so fun. I've had a lot of people graduate this year because I've been here for 3 years now. And some of them just pack up and they're good. Some of them send me long emails. Some of them request a hug in the moment. Some of them will give me toys, or because I got a lot of gadgets and stuffed animals, which everyone knows on the pod. And it's very heartwarming. Some of them you just like, I could talk to you for hours. I could listen to you for hours. There's some humans that you just smile when you see their name on your daily roster.
You look forward to that day of the week.
Yeah. Yep. You're like, oh, this one I'm going to meet Susan or Bobby. Oh, I like Bobby. We're going to talk some shit.
Hello, Bobby.
Or some of my clients that I work with on BetterHelp. And, it's just a wonderful way to end the day with these 8 p.m., 9 p.m. clients that I have on BetterHelp. It's just a wonderful way to end the day. So I'm going to do the side story, then we're going to have Spencer get back into the scenes in the questions. Side quest. Super weird. So I was working with one of these humans that I enjoy. And we're talking about, they're going on a trip, and should they text this one person, whatever, right? And they said, how should I send a text to this person that I like? And I said, you'll be in town. It's easy. Just say I'm in town. I'm going to meet some other friends. Are you available? Let's grab lunch or whatever. And so it comes back around. But what should I say? I say, this is what you do. You say, I'm being honest now, and I said it like that. You send him a text. Hey, Daddy.
Like that.
Oh my God, I'm about to pass out.
That one.
She goes, she's mortified, and then literally she's at a standing desk and just sits on the floor and just goes away. And I'm like, hello? I instantly was like, yeah, because this is a person that would never say anything like that. This is a Caucasian person, so they're not saying, hey, daddy. I'm like, well, at least you know what not to say. Like, I can tell that that's not something congruent with you, and so we can rule that out. You know.
Yeah.
She goes, I hate you.
Out very quickly.
Yeah.
Spence, if someone was to ever... If someone was to ever send you a text, hey, daddy, how would you respond?
Just hello? Just like question mark?
Dude, who is this? Is this? I would be like, how did Papa John's get my number?
Papa John's. Shaq? Is that you?
Yeah, I mean, my speed dials, Papa John's, a Pollo Loco, a Taco, Tequila.
So yours is more like, hey, Poppy.
Hey, Poppy, we're out of sauce. Fuck.
Oh, damn it. Need my sauce.
I literally say, you can get this session discounted. I'm so sorry. And she goes, why do you always do this? I'm like, I don't know.
Something's wrong with me. All right.
Since, most of my clients have autism, it's usually all fun and games. They're just like, why, Nas? And I'm like, autism.
Yeah. It is a fun time.
And I say this is why I end this. I've been working with some of these clients a very long time, and so the bond has been there. There's a ton of good therapy that we do in the session, and then finally I'm like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and let out this weird thing now, and then we're going to laugh about it.
Yeah. You're like, serious time over. Here's Mr. gonna say something weird.
Yep. And obviously I paused it, and then we went back into therapizing things and making sure they chronologically had a plan to talk to this person by lowering their anxiety.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'd just be like, nope, this is it. Bye. See you later.
I'm surprised they didn't log off. I'm really surprised.
Yeah. Just like end the call. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you. Just reports me. All right. So that was my side quest for today. More to come.
Yes.
Spence.
Yes.
Let's hop back into the first scene real quick, and then I can explain some things. But I want to kick it over to Corletha. Anything that you thought watching that first scene, did you ever think about that as being like an ADHD and a neurodivergent moment, anything like that, or no?
Yes, it came to honestly, even prior to that one, in connection to that one, when 22 was talking about not liking music sounds. And I was like, okay, there we go. But as soon as there's the getting out of the elevator, and you can even see like the outline of the people outside, and that initial, I was like, there's the overwhelm. So for example, what you were talking about earlier with the overwhelm versus like social anxiety and things of that nature. I was in that scene. I was like, man, I know exactly how that feels, but I also think that would be like a really, really, really good tool to use for parents or other individuals that are in the lives of anybody that's like neurodivergent, autistic, or just so that they can like have a visual of what that experience is like. Because I was like, oh my goodness, like finally, because sometimes it's hard to put words to the experience. It's hard to put words to it. And especially when people have like their perceptions of who you are, what you're about, what you're like. So I'll have people tell me all the time, oh, well, you come across as being very confident. And I'm like, I am, but I'm not. I am not. I do a good job of faking it sometimes. I really do. But situations like that, you're coming out of this very calm, calculated hospital, and then the world just explodes around you. Yeah, I would have. Black cat. No, we're have
I'm
to
done.
find somebody for this job. Can't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, because this is a great visual. This is why we wanted to do this podcast, is to give people like, oh, why do you picking scenes? To give people visuals, because they don't have the words.
Yeah.
That's it. So even if me and Spence said nothing for an hour on every episode, it's the fact that we're giving people visuals to relate to their real life experience and validate and affirm that they're not crazy. It's the whole premise of this whole thing.
Yeah.
So when a student showed me this, I'm like, hey, we got to include this. Even though it's a short clip, we got to include this clip.
Mm-hmm.
When I first seen it, I didn't think about it being neurodivergent stuff, but then again, that wasn't really my specialty when we were talking about I wasn't looking at things with a neurodivergent lens when I was looking at movie scenes. I was just looking at big emotions. It's a good scene. I'm glad my client brought it up to me, and hopefully it'll help others that see this in the reels on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
All right,
and
boss
honestly,
man.
I think
go ahead.
I think that the scene does a really good job of depicting like how do I explain it? How people find themselves in moments where they like spiral, for lack of better words. So it's like you have this particular situation that happens with this extra stimuli and this thing happens on top of it. And also showing that it can like look different for different people. So for example, 22 in Joe's body went and curled up in the corner and balled up. But for somebody else, they might have, like I have a friend that has a safety hat. If we see her in her safety hat, we know that, okay, what do you need? Or do you need us to like back away, give you space? Or a person may have like a safety, like a safe space. They may decide that they're just going to stay in their house for a few days, which is something I enjoy doing. Or they may, just those sorts of things that they do, whether it's a blanket, a hat,
To regulate
certain activities or whatever, it looks different for everybody when they are in a space where they kind of need you to just kind of back away or need the overstimulation to back away. And to basically take some time to see what that looks like. It's not always going to look like somebody curled up in a ball in a like very big, clear display. There might be leg shaking or like rolling of fingers or twisting of hair or any little small thing. So it's kind of like, learn your people.
The most likely white knuckle it we call, or they'll just mask. They'll put on their neurodivergent mask. They'll look neurotypical. They'll go about what they have to do. They'll die inside. They'll get back home, and then they'll regulate. So everything that you explained is what I worked with my client the other day. We even went through the clothing that they're wearing to make sure it's the comfortable clothing. I said, "What's your go-to good clothing?" She said, "What the hell did you just ask me?" I said, "I'm going to backtrack. The clothes that you feel comfortable in." She said, "Black baggy hoodies." I said, "Okay. Why do you like them?" What the hell does that mean? I don't know. Why do you like wearing? You just told me what you like. Why do you like it? And so we're slowly going through it. And she pauses a lot, and she has to think about things a lot. And sometimes she'll just blank stare at me. I'm like, "What was the question?" I'm like, "God damn it." Girl, we've gone nowhere. And we get to the reasons on why they like certain things, because we're helping them understand themselves. Why is it that you like the color black? Because it's not as overstimulating as maybe some of these lighter colors like the white, pink, reds, but it's very easy on the eyes. And then they like the baggier feeling. Is that because they don't want their body to be seen by other people? Or do you like it just like looser fit, more comfortable? It was more comfortable. It wasn't like a body thing where they were scared that people were looking at them. Some of my women, that's an issue. They don't want any men or other women to be looking at their body, and so they're anxious outside. And we slowly broke it down to all of it. Hair, headphones, glasses, clothing, shoes, all of it. How do we make you best perform at your job? Because sometimes when you're working at this job, it gets loud. And then there's construction, they said, outside. So they can't leave the dog, what do they call it? The dog store? They're in the place where they do dog hair and they got toys and all that. It's like a PetSmart.
Yeah, pet store.
Pet store. There we go. A dog mart.
Yeah, most of it.
I was close.
Petco, pet store.
Pet peeve. I like to be pet too. Land a plane. And I said, "Kid, go outside." She said, "I can't go outside. It's fucking construction." was like, Jesus Christ, we can't do anything. So I said, what do you do? She said, I just pace in circles. I said, okay, I can work with this. And then we found something to help them regulate at the store. Some therapists aren't going to understand this stuff, though. They're really not. They're going to be like, it's fine. Let's just work on your breathing. I'm like, okay. First, let's help them understand what the fuck is going on. Normalize it that way they don't feel crazy. Help them give the words to explain to others in the vicinity that they're not freaking out and that they're not going to hurt themselves or anyone else. And then let's talk about the breathing and all that stuff. You have to give people context. And then validate. Then the tools. Yeah, I get the tools. Everyone wants to push tools and breathing. We got to wait until we build some shit up before we get to tools with some people.
Yeah, a lot of people do skip like the psychoeducation side of things. This is like, what is going on and why do we need the tools? Why do we need the intervention? Why do we need to address any of this? And honestly, a lot of times the why is what really helps to drive change, having answers to that why. But I think in a lot of spaces, we've not been allowed to ask why, to ask questions, to dig for this, dig for that. So it's kind of like we just, accept that it is and how do I fix it versus understanding it to even get to a place of being able to prevent it. Yeah.
Neurodivergent clients, they're going to want to know why. Shit, I'd go tell my brother something. Why? Man, I just asked you to open up the door. Why? I'm like, I'm going to kick you in the head. Why?
Pretty funny to see on the same person.
After I kick him in the head. Why?
Why? What? This is exactly why.
I told you why. This is what you get for asking why. I'm sorry. Completely joking.
Yes, people, we do not beat our siblings.
Or our clients.
Yes.
I want to do what they do in the show when the cat does. Oh no, that's Lilo and Stitch. Sorry, it's Lilo and Stitch when they spray him with the water.
Oh my God.
No. I kissed my ex-boyfriend. No.
Spray him with a water bottle, people. He's not shooting a gun. He's spraying him with a water bottle.
Yeah, it's not even a water gun. It's like a Windex,
Yeah, water bottle. Just
water. Yeah.
Spray bottle, whatever. God.
Febreze.
Stop doing that action. Just stop.
Okay, I'm done.
Stop it. Jeez. I'm choked to death.
Scene 2. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, Spencer. Spencer's like, can you?
All I see is this, and I'm just like, please stop that. Please. If you don't know the word to what you're doing, just don't do it. Right?
FBI?
Yeah. Scene 2. Jesus. Scene 2 has more to do with Joe and how he's kind of looking back at his life and realizing that having those small things to come into play a bigger part in our lives than what we think they do, right? Because for the most part, he was focused on mainly playing this gig because he thinks it's going to be his big start, and then he doesn't have to do teaching anymore, right? But then he kind of slowly finds out that teaching gives him a lot more purpose, I would say, because he's helping these kids learn instruments, learn to play music, and be a big part in their lives when it comes to that part of them. So that's mainly the scene. He's taking a look at all of these items that 22 picked up and was really motivated by her and how she kind of lived her life just doing like all these maybe like considered weird things that people normally don't have the time to do or want to take the time to do and kind of just enjoy life and really go along with what's happening instead of just kind of grinding all the time. I would also say that this movie came out during the pandemic. And so a lot of people could not go out and do things that they wanted to do. And so I felt like this was probably a great time for the movie to come out. Only fact that it came out when, you know, it only came out on like Disney Plus, and so it didn't make any money or anything like that, but still had a great message to it. So
Yep.
yes. So what do we really what are some things that we kind of like, what are some of the little things that we like doing? Maybe if you want to get, you don't have to get like too personal. You can be like, I just love, you know, knitting or something like that. Whatever, doesn't matter. Me personally, some of the little things I love, just whenever I'm with Dom, my girlfriend, it's mainly about, you know, spending time with her and being in the moment together. And so I don't usually like to look at my phone or anything like that. Whether it's, you know, we're out to eat or we're just watching, you know, movies in bed or something like that. It's mainly about being in that time or in that zone with her, instead of just being somewhere in my phone at that moment. So that's like some of the little things that I like to do. I also love, you know, taking time out to, you know, play video games and things like that. So I can kind of, you know, really think about those things. But what are some of the little things that y'all like to do?
What would be the things you would sit on the piano and then you would reminisce about real quick?
Look back, like the ocean hitting your feet.
It's like Spence. I know this would on his piano. I forgot what it's called, but it's going to be the Chinese pasta stuff you like.
Lo mein.
It's going to be the chicken lo mein. It's a lo mein. He's going to have a stack of lo mein.
It's just a vat of lo mein.
A vat of lo mein, boy. I tell you.
Just me.
Yep. So I know that's going to be on his piano somewhere, or it's on the seat next to him.
All right, people. First of all, it's not just eating. I like to cook a little bit, and so that's it. He's not really delving into. He's just like lo mein. You got lo mein there.
He made some shrimp lo mein at my house. It was good.
Exactly, and it was delicious, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's real good. I can't eat it now because I'd probably end up throwing up everywhere because my stomach's so messed up. But
all right, well, making that anytime soon.
No, it was good. I just thought it was a funny thing when I was thinking about you. I'm like, what would you put on your piano? Lo mein. All right, Carlita, what would you put on your piano?
Ask it that way. What would I put on my piano? That kind of like changed the game. What I would put on my piano, I would most definitely put a leaf from a plant on the piano. I love plants, and not just plants. I love nature. To be able to just be in and experience and be present in and with nature. One of the things that I like to do, I like to go to different parks, or particularly if the park has like a river or a creek or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good
And
one.
sometimes if I can't do that, I'll just go in my backyard, because I actually have, like, my backyard is wooded and there's a creek that goes through my backyard. So I'll go and like just chill on this tree that fell over the creek and just like sit there and just like dangle my feet on the tree over the creek. Yep. Kind of have a frolicking sort of a moment without actually frolicking. Exactly. Yep. I definitely, I would say if I could sum up most of the things that I could think of, it would really be present experience. I think is probably the best way that I could explain it. Because everything that I could think of that I would put on a piano, it's because of how it makes me feel and how alive I am when I'm able to just like be present with the people that I experience those things with, or the actual activity or experience itself. I would say present experience.
So definitely. I would say you would put a leaf on your piano, most likely a rock from the pond or creek, and maybe some sneakers for the walks. What if you think about one of your friends that can be minimized into a small object or item, or maybe you have like a trinket in your house that reminds you of a friend or one of your best friends, what would that trinket be?
Couple of trinkets. So this one's going to be kind of funny, but so I went to a Power Rangers convention the other day.
Nice.
And as soon as you walk into the Power Rangers convention and you go to the left, there's this vendor, and you look down at the table and there's these baskets of chicken. And you're looking at the baskets of chicken and because it's really out of place. You're
fried
like,
chicken?
we're at a power. Yeah, it was fried chicken. But the thing about it is it wasn't real chicken. They were keychains.
Oh.
There was a basket of drums, a basket of flats, and a basket of chicken nuggets. So I would most definitely, I bought a drum keychain.
Yeah.
So I would most definitely put that keychain. Purse that I purchased with a friend, I would put that purse. A crystal. A Marcel iron.
It's healing
another
me.
Friend.
I can feel it. I'm sorry to make fun of crystal people.
This little pebble healing.
It's healing powers of meditation.
I have so much more energy now.
They are gorgeous. They are so pretty.
They are pretty.
They do look good. They are very pretty.
Yeah, they are.
I believe in the healing.
Yeah.
You've cured my gout. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
I can walk again.
It's a miracle. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Good. No, but seriously, just thinking about like some of the core key people in my life. There are definitely definitely some sand. And a few, definitely beaches. Those are some things that I can do.
That's awesome. Things to think about. I when I saw this scene, I wanted people to look at what they're grateful for. To look at how he hated his life and yet it was filled with so much love. And he's teaching all these students and they're awesome students and they're learning and they're playing their instruments and he's showing his love, which is making them fall in love. But I'm also sure he's dry and corny as hell and they're laughing at him. But if they're laughing at you, they're still technically laughing with you to me. I don't care. Like, if you're smiling around me, fuck it. I won. And if you're excited because I'm excited, I've won as a therapist. And then he has these moments where he sees himself as a kid. He sees himself with his father learning music, and then they both make that face. And then his father gets old. And then they're both at the record player again, and then they're at the piano. Then you see his dad's feet at the beach and with his mom, and so obviously dad passes. So it's really sad. But he's reminiscing about all the really good moments and how much he meant to everyone in that story, and that his mother looks at him with his beauty and not just like you're a musician and a teacher, and how your students really look up to you. So you better acknowledge that power that you have, because there's so many people paying attention that you don't even really understand. I think it's a really good moment for people to think about what brings them joy, and also kind of let's think about the small things in life. And I feel like that's part of therapy is when he set the stuff down. It's the lollipop, it's the little twig thingy from the tree, right? It's the yarn from his ma's shop. What are the things that make you happy that are super, super microcosmic? To me, it could be as fun as just having something to fidget with in my hand. So I love playing with these microfiber towels while I'm talking to y'all. I also, the other day I was at a restaurant. I was going to get a burger. And then I saw this fucking noodle thing. I'm like, this some servants would probably like. And then I got it. It was a shrimp, like pasta thing. It was fucking magnificent. Oh, and my stomach felt so good. And I was like, I'm going to probably fill this up later. And I don't care. My stomach's actually been much better because I've been adjusting my medication for my acid and some other things, and my blood sugar. It was wonderful. And I'm glad I made the choice instead of getting a stupid burger. I would say it'd be moments.
Let's not talk shit about burgers here, okay?
I like burgers, but I can eat a burger any day at the house. Dad makes some burgers that clog your arteries. They're good.
My favorite.
Yeah. Like, am I having a stroke? Jesus.
Well, there it goes. There's my arm.
Is there any... Did we put anything on here? No. It's just meat. I'm so hungry right now. So hungry.
All right, calm it down. Get back to it.
I'm having like hat flashes right now. I enjoy listening to the wind. I don't know what it is, but listening to the wind is like one of my favorite things in the world. So I was sitting in the car the other day. It's like, fuck, man, I think I'm just going to sit in the car. When I was getting ready to take off from work, it was like a very cold, mild, cold, breezy day. And I put the windows down. I was like, this is so peaceful. I can go to sleep. I just sat in the car. And then I took off and went down the highway, right? Very small things. Trinkets for friends. I have a lot of trinkets from students that help me remember them. If it was Colin, the easy giveaway would have been pre-workout. But he just recently talked to his doctor, and then the doctor's like, you got to back off the caffeine. And then me and my father just talked to him like, you have a daughter now. You're probably going to have a heart attack if you keep doing this. And Pops was like, you're done doing this. He's like, I'll be fine. And Pops is like, this is not fucking funny. Like, you're done with the 300 milligrams of caffeine at a time. Like, you're done with it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I got some non-caffeine pre-workout. I'm like, okay.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah, they'll just be like amino acids and like beta-alanine and shit. It's like, all right, it's better than nothing. Like, you understand, like, it's bigger than you now. The kid needs it. So I would probably say that. Now I'm going to go with maybe one of her toys, the baby's toys, right? Because I talk to her daily, the baby, or she just stares at me daily and just screams.
He's 15, Nas. Why does she keep doing that?
Yeah, she's still screaming.
She's not. She's only a couple months old.
Yeah, she's 6 months old. She's sitting up. She was on a live stream with us last night for the podcast, which is super cool. She'll be on more live streams with us coming up. So probably something baby related, maybe like a little sock or a little toy. The other day she wore one of Spencer's onesies. That was a Vikings onesie. And then she wore one of the podcast onesies that is sponsored by us. Yesterday it was really cute. For Spencer, it would probably be a basketball sneaker, even if it was like a small one, or just like a shred of a basketball, even just like a piece of a basketball. But the memory in my head will always be me and him eating at a Chinese restaurant. They'd be like, what's the best moments with Spencer? And I can go through a bunch of moments of traveling and seeing all this cool shit. And then some of the best moments is just going to be us putting down 2 plates of food.
Yeah, that's right. They always get confused. We always confuse the people that we eat because we always order like 2 entrees.
They're like,
at least I did.
Yeah, they're like, you taking this home? Or he'll order 2 entrees. I'll order 15 egg rolls. And they're like, how fat are you?
What is wrong with you people? Like, excuse me, you people?
Yeah.
Watch your tone.
Watch it. Yeah, no, we meant fat people. Still. We've got so many stories of them judging us or judging me with egg rolls. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm taking this home to my family. Sure, Mr. Zerka.
Right.
Sure.
She was like, okay. Like,
she just smiles.
Like, okay.
She's like, I'll bring them out fresh for you. I'm like, no, wrap them to go. So you eat in car?
What do you know? He started eating them in the car.
I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
So most of my friends, it's food. If it was Colin, it'd most likely be pizza. Yeah, most likely it'd be pizza or fucking gummy bears, gummy worms. He eats so many fucking gummy worms. But those are some of the small things. Small things. Even sometimes looking at fresh cut grass, I'm like, why does this feel so good? Why is this grass so symmetrical? Am I turned on right now by this? No, I'm joking.
And moving on.
Okay, I'm done now. I almost passed out again. I don't know what's wrong with my blood pressure right now. I don't know if I'm hungry or horny. I'm sorry.
You know what? Oh my. You know what? It's hilarious because it's like some people, like, they can't get when to move on from a topic, but usually I know exactly when to move on to the next topic. You make it so easy.
It's so apparent. I get weird when it's time. This is scene 3.
Yep, scene 3, the last scene. It's all about Joe helping 22, get down to earth. Because she's finally getting her chance to go. we kind of talked about it a little bit already.
The ending
with kind of therapists helping out your clients and things like that. But I kind of want to talk about like what a spark is and like how do you find it. I'd love to kind of get both of your your minds about that.
I'll say for myself, I really sat and thought about this. I hadn't thought about it before, like watching this movie, but I really sat and thought about it. And I was like, especially when they mentioned that Joe was like off because he kept focusing on purpose and instead of focusing on spark. And it's like, okay, so what is like the difference between spark and purpose? Because they tend to be, talked about interchangeably a lot. And after I really sat and thought about it, I was like, well, I can see where they're coming from. That spark like isn't really your purpose. I feel like spark is like, or so the passion that ignites your purpose versus like actually being your purpose. And I also think that in terms of sparks, that sparks can kind of like, sparks can stay the same, but it's like the passion that is ignited from the spark that can change over time. So kind of like if you have a flame, you're always going to have the fire, but the flame might take a different shape, or it might be a different color depending on like how hot it is. So for example, you may, like your purpose might be to be a servant or to service people, to, help people as you go throughout your life. But that can look different because, maybe you're a therapist and then later on you become a consultant, and then later on you become a professor. Like you're still servicing and helping, but it's like it looks different as you go along. So I think that sometimes we like focus a little bit too hard or harshly on trying to fit into like one box, where it's like it's not necessarily a box. It's like this big umbrella that has like many different points as you go throughout life. And I think that if we gave ourselves the freedom to explore a bit more than what we already do, I think that we would probably come to find that a lot more.
Real quick, what would be some of your sparks? Because everyone, let's say that everyone has multiple sparks, or maybe some people feel like they only have one, but I feel like that's more like passion and concentration. So let's say you had a spark. Do you know what yours would be?
Honestly, my sparks would turn back into some of those small things that I would put on the piano.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep. Did you like Avatar or no?
So I actually haven't seen the whole thing.
Oh, I think you would love Avatar. It's all about nature and all that stuff. I feel like you'd love it.
Yeah, I've seen like the larger majority of it, and the parts of it that I did see, I loved it. And I do need to like actually watch the whole thing, but I didn't get to see the whole thing. So I was like and shaking while we were watching it. But from what I do remember,
check out 1 and 2. I think you're going to really love nature, especially the second one, where there's a character that we just did a podcast on that is very neurodivergent coded. And I think you'll probably relate to her a lot because she's very connected to the earth and the environment and nature, and she can control and manipulate things. Not manipulate things, but she can guide nature to like kind of be connected with it. I think you'll really like the character. A lot of my clients love that character. For me, when it comes to spark, Spence, technically we had this discussion on something of the sort. It wasn't spark. It was like what the hell did we talk about on one of the podcasts? It was with a guest, and it was something about like a gift, being gifted. I don't remember what episode that was.
We talked about gifts and how if we think that gifts
you're born with, or you create them.
Yeah, you're born with, or do you kind of create your own gifts as you kind of go on in life? Yeah.
What podcast was that? You remember? Was that Michael Jordan? No.
Was it?
No.
It wasn't. And it was the one before Arnold.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
I think we did it with Vicky, but I'm not really sure. No, it was Encanto. It was Encanto. Because it's all about gifts. That's right. And she was born without one. And then she falls into hers, and she continues to find out her gift was always her being close to the community, bringing the family together, being strong-willed. It was multiple different things. I feel like Spark, everyone thinks big. Spark is Pulitzer Prize. Spark is curing cancer. Spark is, winning a Grammy. Spark is having the world's best podcast in the world. Spark is changing the world. And then I can hear my boss's voice. You can't help everyone, honey. And I said, I'd rather try doing it than not. She said, you're going to burn out like that. And I said, I would rather burn out than not. I would rather actually try to get everyone into at least a smaller stage. And so I started changing the scale on what I think is a success in therapy versus, they got a completely cured of all anxiety, right? I no longer think in those terms, but I'm thinking of always successes. And I feel like all of mine are successes. And I can always find a way. I can always have a client, like on Ted Lasso. I loved her as a therapist, black woman that was therapist on her. She says, you told me all these bad things about your father. What are some of the good things? And he's like, why would I? And then he starts talking about all these good things. Clients, I had a horrible day. Let's talk about maybe some of the good things that were in that day. Oh my God, it sounds like it was actually a pretty good day, but there was this small thing that happened that was 2 minutes long. Man, you got a lot of good minutes compared to those 2 minutes. Can you really quantify that a bad day? If I grew up differently, I would not have some of the skills that I have now that I got from my mother and my father, or the tenacity or drive, some cases violence, love. As one of my clients says, you have a lot of emotions and you cry a lot. I was like, how dare you? How dare you? I remember being in a meeting when we had to do these personality tests, like the discs, the 5-disc assessment, and I was a feeler. And then when we were talking to some of the other coworkers that weren't, they were very analytical. And, people were razzing on each other. And I said, I like having the feelings because I know I'm alive. And the other person said that was logical. He's like, I know I'm alive because logically I get the steps. I am alive. I smell, I taste, right? And I'm like, yeah, but there's a difference between knowing it and feeling it. And I don't mind my big emotions. Don't mind them. I don't mind when I'm watching a movie and a visual and I can feel it and it's like, oh, I can't breathe. And then your eyes start to well up. I don't mind that. Where other people are like, I'm too emotional. This is too much. I just kind of go with it. My spark is my madness. My spark is making both of you laugh and other people on the podcast laughed and they comment on me and Spencer's humor. That's our spark. Otherwise, you're just another podcast that's talking about anxiety. There's 50 million of those. And if you want to watch someone talking about a movie, you can watch another 100 million of those. If you want to watch it with a little neurodivergent twist and some humor with it, some vulgarity here and there, a lot of affirming and validating, it's us.
Different spectrums.
It's a spectrum. Oh, soon to be TM, copyrighted, trademarked. Soon to be TM, trademarked. Yeah. Hopefully that comes through in the next month or so.
Let's hope.
Yeah. The spark, I think, is the madness that makes a lot of us neurodivergent people feel judged. I've always felt weird, dumb, ugly, incompetent, inappropriate. Someone laughed the other day. Said, why do you say the things that you do? I said, other white people would say I was inappropriate. She's like, no. I'm like, yes, it was inappropriate, the comment I just made, but everyone laughed at the dinner table, so it's fine.
I will say that you are very inappropriate, sir.
Yes.
For those on the podcast side, I pushed up my fake glasses.
Yes.
I used to wear glasses, folks, okay?
Yeah. I would tell people to hang on to that spark and whatever it is. I don't care who tells you the shit's on you. I want you to be like Kiri in Avatar 2. Hang on to that spark. Be you. If people bully you, find other people that can affirm you. Find your little big brothers or your big sisters to come with you on that ride. Because now the spark is the reason why I'm a good therapist. And yet that was everything that everyone told me I needed to get rid of. But the number one reason why I'm so good and my statistics are so high and everything that I do is so high, and all the data that says, and my students leave these comments, everything's so high. But I thought it was all these terrible things. The spark to me is my joy and happiness, my big emotions. I can size people up and like validate people in some ways and through my emails now, and I got it through my father, is writing these emails that cut you so hard, you'll be devastated. But when your father's writing you all the time, when he was incarcerated, he gets really good and really articulate, really eloquent, and uses solely emotion when he writes. So I'm like, shit, this is what I do now. And people will be like, huh? They'll just put like a crying emoji. I'm like, talk to you next week. I've had some clients in group therapy and like, I hate when you send your emails. I was like, why? Because I know I'm going to cry. And it's usually me validating them and like gassing them up. It's usually not anything sad. It's, this is who you are. It's a Lion King moment. Remember who you are before all the trauma in the world stripped everything from you. Before they told you to act a certain way. My spark is my madness. Same thing with Spencer. His spark is his madness. One of your sparks is your madness. Because otherwise we fade into this normalcy and it's gross. And me and Spence just can't do it. And everyone that watches this podcast, don't do it. If you need to hide a little bit to make a little bit of money and all that, you know, okay, I'm okay with some masking to make the money. But you have to be able to unmask. So I would say people advise people for the spark, hang on to it. Those were some of my sparks. And I've said this many times to people, and then I'll be done. We're going to transition into a different part of the scene. Is if I couldn't make people laugh, I don't really see the point of existing. I don't. Not in my life. Other people don't need it. But for me, I really don't see the point. So if it comes a time where I can't make people laugh, I think that'll be a time where I'm like, I'm done. I think I've lived a good life. So if my mind goes in dementia, as long as my mind doesn't go, I can make people laugh. But my mind is gone, who knows? But if my body goes, I need my mind. My body goes, I can still talk some shit. Dad's body's going, but he can still talk some shit now.
Yes, he can.
He can still scare the shit out of you too. So I saw him walking the other day.
I've never been. It's like you've never been more scared of a person who can't walk fast in your life. You're just like, wait a minute, how does this work?
How does this work? I don't know. God, you should have seen him when he had his skills, man.
I bet.
And wheeling and dealing. I've learned so much shit. And this is what I love. Sometimes I'll cry in the car ride home. I'd be like, they get most of this love from Pops. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the stuff that he learned doing, you know, he's a 9th grade dropout and incarcerated. I mean, most of the love that they get is from Pops and from Mom. Yeah. She had a big heart too. She was just hidden behind all the trauma.
Right.
But I get it from Pops. And some of the sayings that I use in there is Pops' words. I'm like, damn, so you thought you paid for a doctorate, but what you really did pay is you got a convict music. Oh. And some of my clients love it because it's real.
Right.
And Pops definitely has a spark of madness. So
it makes him him.
It makes him him. It's what makes all of us. So find out what it is. But with me, if it could make people smile, like making you two smile today, Corletha, you cringe smile, because there's a few cringe smiles.
Oh, I'm pretty certain.
Yep. And you've known me long enough where you're like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other purposes to life, but that would be a depressing life for me. The next thing in this scene, Spence, was
yes,
and then we'll probably start to wrap up here. Lost soul. 22 was a lost soul. I'm terrible. I'm never going to find anything. She turns into this vicious thing. Then boom, she eats him. And then he goes in and then he sees her hidden in there in this darkness. And it's swirling around her and she can't hear anything. And she's freaking out. And she keeps saying these negative things. And it's other people's voices or other people talking, but it's her voice. And it's very contextualized as a full-on panic attack. Because you're dissociated. It's also contextualized as a massive depressive episode. So if someone's like, let's say bipolar, just extremely depressed and they're just locked. I've got some clients that are so OCD and hyper-focused on what is in their brain They can't do anything. They're immobile. To me, that was a perfect visual and scene. To me, that scene made me a little scared and made me cry a little bit. Whenever you see someone in that, it's scary. Because my mind goes, oh shit, we're there. How are we going to get out of this? How am I going to figure this out? Come on now, let's figure this out. What questions? What did they just say? What was in their intake? What are some of the things that they like? What are all these weird things? Well, what can you contextualize to get them out of this state? Because this is going to be a son of a gun. And will you be able to do it? You might not be able to do it. What happens if you can't do it? But everything goes on within a millisecond. And then you have to somehow give them hope and breathe life into them to make them not want to die. That's a lot of pressure for one human to do multiple times a week. Thankfully, you rarely see someone in that pit of a lost soul. But when you do, fuck. And sometimes, most of the time, you can get them out of it. Sometimes you can't. But most of the time, you can. Mm-hmm. And it's scary. And so I wanted to talk about that. And Corletha, maybe you could put some light on that. And I also wanted to talk about, I've already kind of stated, some of my students just heal my soul. And maybe it's through their story I heal. Maybe it's through them being an ethnic majority. And so they look like family members. And so I get some stuff out of that counter-transference. Sometimes it's just they help me believe that there's better people in the world. Because the world can't be this fucked up if you're sitting in front of me. It can't be. If I sit in front of 30 to 40, 150 of you, 200 of you in a semester, the world must be better. Because how are there so many good humans that sit in front of me? And so there's a lot of healing that happens in my office and a lot of laughing. Yes, a lot of laughing, a lot of validating, a lot of helping, a lot of neurodivergent, specifically women. Because I see a high rate of neurodivergent women in my office. Because that's the specialty. That's the dissertation. Is seeing their eyes or their heart open up to know that they're not crazy. That was one of the favorite fucking things of my job. Like, so you might be on the spectrum. We're going to do some stuff and we're going to figure that out. 3 weeks later, so I think you're on the spectrum, kid. And they're like, yep. And they're like, it makes so much sense now. Feels good to not hate yourself anymore, right? Yeah. So, Corletha. That scene, that depression scene, right? And I don't know if you get, because, I sometimes, it's scary for me. And like you, I can put on a hell of a mask and like, damn, now it's just vibing. And I'm like, fuck. Batten down the hatches. We're going for a ride. Did that visual impact you, like him being the therapist and like 22 being lost?
Yes. There were so many parts and pieces of that particular scene. It's like, first there's, just the individual coming to you as a shell of their symptoms. So when 22 is like the big black blob, scary thing, that shell of symptoms, and you're over here in your world, and then you get gobbled up by them and you enter into the inside of their world. So entering into like the inside of their mind, what's actually going on with them, which honestly for me, sometimes it's scary, but regardless of if it's scary or not, it is like one of the most, one of those moments in life where I'm just like, grateful, I think is the best way I can put it, that the person trusts me with that they're willing to be vulnerable with me with that, because that is like, man. So to just open up and share all of those deep, dark, this and that, and I'm grateful that they trust me that much. I'm grateful that I was able to create a safe space for them to even be able to share all of that stuff. But just as much as Joe was walking through like this and being blown and tousled around and tripping over stuff, it can be exactly like that, where we're a little nervous and concerned about ourselves as we're going on the journey with the individual, but we have to maintain focus on the individual, and that can be tough sometimes, because it's like as you're going along, you're tripping, because with some of the training and things that we've had, you have some of their stuff that comes up that triggers you or reminds you of some of your own stuff as you're helping them, but you have to remain focused on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh my goodness, so like when 22 starts speaking all of these different things, and there's all of these different characters that show up. So we have this whole concept of like negative self-talk, but it's like the reality. I teach my clients this a lot. They'll tell me the things that they say to themselves in their head, and I'll ask them, who said that to you? And they'll just kind of look at me. And I'm like, someone said that to you at some point in your life. Who was it? Oh, what? You're right. So then we'll talk about the scenario or the situation. I'm like, okay, so now that we know who said it, are you going to continue to choose to believe it because it was never your original thought? And they're like, oh my God. And like all of these. So we really go through their negative self-talk, and we point out, where did it come from? Who planted the seed to let it grow into that thing? So something I'm going to point out, once we get to the very end, the last person is Joe himself.
Yep.
So as therapists, we have to be very careful about what we say to our clients. We have to be careful about our explanations and things of that nature. So it's like, if you say something to a client and it was well intended, but the client's response comes back and it's like, okay, they didn't get what I was saying with what I said. So let me rephrase that and make sure they get it, because you don't want to, harm anybody or say or do to like push them backwards. So yeah, there were a lot of things in that particular
symbolism.
Scene. It's like, yeah,
it's
like sometimes.
Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
Well, sometimes it's like they clients come in and it's like they don't know, they don't have, they've never had, they've lost, or they're like afraid to live in their spark. And it's like sometimes there's a lot of work to kind of like get them back to it. But that whole thing of like them being a lost soul, even sometimes I've noticed that with them being a lost soul, that it's not really that different from like them being. So there was this part of the movie where it's talking about being in the zone.
Yep.
Like sometimes the lost soul is a lost soul because they're like stuck in the zone.
In a different zone.
And that's where we kind of like get to like a space of addiction. Because it's like you're chasing a high over and over and over again. So if somebody has said something to you and you become fixated on proving that particular person wrong, or like that piece of negative self-talk wrong, that can turn into, a reason for being a lost soul, like chasing this particular spark of like vindication, for lack of better words.
Suspense.
There were on that scene.
An example of that would be the podcast we did from Atlanta when he's talking to the therapist, and you're like, so are you even doing this for you now, or is it just to piss off all these white folks? Same vibe. I've had it where I've worked with clients and they'll come back the next week, hey man, you said something the other day, it was hurtful, or rubbed me the wrong way, or this happened, or this is how and then you talk about it, and like, I'm cool to talk about and to go over it, and whatever it was. Because I misstep sometimes too. The jokiness that's inside of me right now with me and Spence is not always how I act. And then when I do let that out, it's very pointed at a certain time, at a certain place when it's appropriate, or when I feel like it's needed to distract from something that's too heavy for the moment. And it does happen. It does happen with clients. Because everything, right, my neurodivergent self steals things from movies, and I mirror things. And I'm pretty sure it was Viola Davis in a movie, and they said, someone told you a lie one day. And so I usually stick with that. Who told you this lie? Someone told you a lie one day and said you were this, and you are not this. So I do the same thing you did, but mine just happens to come from a movie quote. because I thought it articulated it better than I did. And I found it worked marvelously, especially when you change your tone of voice and your inflection, and you say it just like she did in the movie, and they're like, "Huh?"
Right. Yeah.
They emotionally puke on you. And you're right. It is a privilege to be inside their world. And I think the coolest thing of being a therapist is after you lost what you thought was going to save them, quotations on save, you find that little twig from the tree. And that's what calms her down. It was something from her reality that can relax them and soothe them. And it was an item that they could latch onto, a grounding anchor to come back to reality. And I think with a lot of neurodivergent folks, that's what we look at. How can I find a way to bring you back to reality? I was talking to a human the other day. I said, only time you smile is when you show any emotion at all is when you talk about your partner. That's it. Nothing else. You've talked about death, but you talk about these issues and you don't show any emotion ever on anything. And then you talk about her and you're excited and animated, you're pissed off, you're in love, it's all of it. So why is that? I said, when you go home, you tell her, I talked about you in therapy because we were laughing about how she wouldn't like that, but he could tease her, and he said he likes teasing. I was like, oh, you're a little shit too, huh? Okay. And he said, I said, I want you to do something. I want you to let them know, because we're working on some relationship stuff. And I said, let them know that you talked about them, and then they'll ask questions and you'll be shitty with them. And my therapist said the only time that I smiled is when I talked about you. I said, they will love that so much. 2 weeks later, they come back. They said it worked out really well, man. They really liked it. And I said, did you tease them for a while? He's like, of course I did. Fuck them. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. You're terrible too. I'll see you in hell. Okay. Yeah. Tuesday? Okay. See you Tuesday. Sometimes you see these things that bring people back down. Could be an animal, nature, sports. It could be something artsy. It could be knitting. It could be anything. It could be food. It could be smells. For many of my clients, it's music. But whatever you can use to infiltrate their world, use it. Make sure you're paying attention. Therapists, they tend not to pay attention to some of the small things. And it's the small things that help you get into someone's soul, someone's world. It's small things. It's this when they're on their backpack, they got pins and stickers and all that. Look, don't ask. Look. You go Google and research, and then you bring it up in therapy, and they'll be like, oh shit, you actually paid attention? Yes. There's a reason why my clients say I actually care versus my counterparts at work. I'm happy I got stuck with you. You're different. Why? Because I feel like you actually care whenever no one else is just breathe. Let's talk about reframing your thoughts. Yeah, that's all good. I'm going to end with this. One of my coworkers said one of their clients that's neurodivergent they're working with got mad at them because they said they felt disrespected in therapy. That the client said that they're parroting back things and you don't have to talk down to me. And I said, that reframing things and just mirroring things, what they say, that works with a lot of clients. With neurodivergent folks, they just told you how they feel. You don't need to parrot back what they just told you. Like they're going to be like, this is fucking stupid. I'm not paying for this. There needs to be more affirming and validating. There needs to be more questioning. There needs to be more systematic breaking things down, and then some strategy before they leave. Everyone is different. But sometimes that parroting thing or mirroring thing, it sounds like that made you feel really bad. They're like, yeah, that made me feel, I just told you I felt bad. I'm paying you for this? A lot of my neurodivergent clients hate that. So something interesting to know is that even with the best intentions, some of us therapists mess up. And I think the mirroring thing, I do that too. But sometimes I like to give them options. Are you feeling this, or this? And then I'll throw in a crazy one. So, you're feeling angry, sad, frustrated, or you feeling like murder. And they're like, why would I feel like murder? Just making sure you're not sleeping or that you're going to kill anyone. So if you do, I'm going to arrest you. So, I don't know. This is a wonderful movie. I'm glad that we did this one. This will be a little bit longer of a pod, so an hour and 20 minutes. I think there was more therapeutic than some of the other things. Just the way that Joe's life is and soul and spark, and it's just a lot. Yep. It's a lot. And like Spence said, I think not a lot of people have seen it because it came out during the pandemic. Right. And then so
it was like one of the only movies that it was like one of the first movies that came out for Disney Plus.
Yep.
Like new. And so I don't think a ton of people got to see it maybe as much as they probably would have if like theaters were open and things like that. So yeah.
Check it out, people. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Yeah, definitely underrated, I would say.
Definitely underrated for Pixar. Yeah. Pixar, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think it's Disney and Pixar, I believe.
Yep. Disney and Pixar, yep. Corletha or Doc or Spence, anything else do you wanted to tidy up today?
Only thing I would want to say,
what's up?
In terms of humor in therapy, therapy is dry without humor, in my opinion. It's dry. And I think that humor is a tool a lot of people are afraid to use, but it's one of those things that as you grow to learn your clients and you really, really pay attention, humor is very easy to use. And honestly, humor needs to be used in some situations, particularly, honestly, culturally, a lot of times too. Humor is like a major thing that certain cultures use to help like get through some of the worst things, the worst, like inappropriate, worst jokes and humor and this, that, and the other connected to things. But it helps to kind of like turn it into these like bite-sized pieces that are easier to digest. So I don't think that so many therapists should be afraid of using humor. Honestly, I think that it makes for stronger relationships, greater growth, and so many other things. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
It is a big cultural thing. You cannot come in there dry. Some people will like it. You know, I've had a few people that didn't like me and they thought, you know, they were like, no, I'm not their cup of tea. And it wasn't because of the humor. It was usually because I pushed them on some topics. But I could tell that the humor, the way I carried myself, they didn't. They were like, interesting. You're not the type of therapist that I want. And that's fine. You wanted someone more stoic, more, lack of a better word, white. And so they got me, which is not that. I'm going to be upfront and we're going to talk about things and I'm going to challenge you on things. And if I say that this relationship is not looking good, then it's not looking good and we need to work on it. It's all said with love to get you to the next place. But humor, if you're actually paying attention, can be one of the most wonderful things to unlock someone's heart. Especially when they're the nervous people that laugh all the time. And they just nervous chuckle. I'm like, yes, you're my favorite. Because it's so easy to tease them. And everything that they say, they laugh. And like, oh, I'm doing fine. And then they'll start laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing? Like you're crying and laughing? Like, is this a Joker moment? What are we dancing on stairs?
You have an illness to where you just laugh at everything?
So like,
it's what it is.
My father left our family when we were young. I'm like, what? Why are you laughing right now? They're like, I tend to smile when I don't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, we need to work on your emotions because they're coming out in the wrong ways. I think one of them was like, at a funeral, I was just laughing. Yep.
Yeah. Everyone was crying. I was just chuckling. It's like, well, guess we're not inviting Susie.
I guess they're not coming to dinner. Yeah. So return those presents. I've got some jokes that some of my neurodivergent clients say. I'm like, you're going to get so canceled if you say this. She's like, yep, that's why I'm saying this in front of you today.
There you go.
I love dark humor. When my people that love dark humor and they'll say things to me and they'll look at you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you okay with this dark humor? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So I shoved one of my roommates in a freezer the other day. I'm like, Jesus Christ, kid, that's bullying.
Yeah, I think that's just wrong. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Okay.
She's like, they fit. I was like,
let's be honest. Sometimes in the moment, things are hilarious. Like you can't. But then once you look back on, it, you're like, wow, that was bad. That
cringe.
was really bad.
Yep.
So,
to be fair with that person, we had to work on a lot of humor things and social skills to make sure that they don't mess up. Yeah. She was dark. Like you can't shove
Really?
people in the freezer.
People don't like that.
Yeah. Her friends, my friend said she was cool with it and I got her consent. And I'm like,
She probably was just telling her that she was cold. She was cool with it, right?
She just left her in there. To be fair, she was an awesome person and did a lot of good things for the school.
Freezers.
Yeah.
Around.
Oh, I would love.
Getting shut.
She would smile. She would say something to me and then look at my facial expression to see how I would react. And sometimes I'd be like, God damn it. I'm not supposed to laugh at this. Good times. Humor. Nice. Anything else before we get out of here, Spence?
Nope. That's all. All right.
Take us away.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Once again, go check out Bub's Naturals and Cure Hydration. Use our code DSP20 to get 20% off your entire order. Don't forget to check out our merch. Yep, you're just wearing University of Minnesota. Yep, thanks.
Close.
Appreciate you wearing the shirts. Thank you. Jackass. Also, don't forget to check out our link tree and go check out all of our resources that we have in our link tree. A bunch of cool stuff in there. Go check them out. And then also don't forget to leave a tip for Naz because he put a lot of work into making those resources for us. So do that. Thank you, Dr. Letha, for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we loved having you on. So love to have you again at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's nice not being the only smart person in the room.
Definitely the only jackass. So there you go. All right, people. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Spencer. That's Naz. This is the Different Spectrums podcast.
All right, people. Much love. Take care of yourself.
Or don't.
That's up to you. Peace.
Bye.